So, hi everybody and welcome back. This is a C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 153, and in this video we are doing our last repetition of the keywords which we learned so far, and then we will go on with the regular keywords which we will learn. And yeah, with that said, I think we can start, and like all time I will read here the question. You should pause the video and try it as good as you can. Don't worry if you don't know it. I will then present my solution, which is also most time not that perfect, but I refer all time to the CPB reference site, which is one of our goal to understand a little bit more, because later you can watch the official C++ documentation on your own instead of asking all other people, and that is a big achievement for the future. But till then we have still to learn many keywords and other things, but we go step by step closer. So with that said, I think we can start. And here 71, it says here, is void a type or a keyword? Where we need it, and write an example code, and what means void in a parameter list. All right, so you can pause the video, you can try it, and when you are finished, I will show my solution. All right, I start. So first, it says here, is void a type or a keyword? Void is a type and a keyword. So it's both, because when you watch the keywords, and you will see it's there, and it's also a type, and that's a little bit strange, right? That a void can be a type, because we learned about a type, not much, but we learned a type is also a class, but this void has nothing in it, at least so far we know, because it should have no value in it at least, right? But still it is a type. And we will not dive too much into this one because we have to learn classes and so on. Then we will see if we dive a little bit more in voids and so on. All right, let's go to the next one. Also, where we need it, there are actually many places, but when I ask you where we need it, what I mean is where we learned it so far in this tutorial. And there are not so many places in our case. So we need it for void functions. That is one place. Then I think we learned also void parameters. I think, yeah, it's anyway here in the question. Here we learned it here also, void parameters. And let's see, have we learned in this tutorial anywhere else? I know there is one more thing, but I don't think we have learned it yet, the return type of void. Let's write return void function. Let's write this one too. It's very simple. All right, there we have 3 examples here, but there are probably much more, because there are something we have not learned, and then you will see void is used in much more places, but I think this one you could know. And we will write an example, but before I write this example now, I go here to this question and answer this one here. And it says here, what means void in a parameter list? So in a parameter list, it is the same as void in a parameter list is the same as an empty parameter list. So, and this void in a parameter list means most time an old style, or let's say it's taken over, I think, from C, the programming language C, and they had a void there, but in C++ you can write a void or let it empty, right? It's the same. Okay, and now let's write an example. Let's go and Let me see if I have this one. I need set fast here a marker so I can jump here back and forth later. I go here. Let's set here a marker too. All right, and let's write here an example. Actually, an example would be a void function, for example. Let's make it easy. Void my function. My void function. I call it just my void function. Void function. And you see, this is my void function. And stay out. This is a void function. Not very creative, but it does the job, right? All right, that's one thing. So let's see, let me show you here a little bit more what I have listed here. So we have a void function, we have a void parameters, and return void. Let's go and try to do this as well. So return void, I can return here already void, return void. I can't do this one. And this one is the same as like returning. But we have not talked about this return void, because this here will be used in a special place, which we have not discussed yet for, I think, for templates, so that it fits the signature. But don't worry if you don't know this. That's in the future when we learn templates and so. That's why this one, it can return, and we test it if it's working, and then you see it's good when it's work, but means not necessarily does it really work in certain cases, but you see the grammar is at least correct. And then I had one more example, which was here the parameter. Yes, the parameter here in my void function, I can write here void, and it's the same as if I write nothing. So this one here are the parameters. If I write nothing, it means void. Void means no value. And if I write void, it is also the same as if I write nothing. And of course I can test. And you see, that was simple. I hope you get this right. If not, no worry. Perhaps you don't know this one here, because that's not so simple. Because this will be later in a special place. Perhaps you know already more places where you can use void. That would be also nice. But if you know this one here, this void function is the most important, which you should know. This one, this void parameter, yes. Some people use some people write really void. Then you should not be irritated by this one. Means just it's empty. The same thing, no return value. And yeah, all right, I think that's good. And I think we did now all. That was not difficult. And we have here the last question. Normally there are a little bit more keywords, but we already discussed, for example, while loop, and this WHRT, we already discussed them. That's why we are here in the end. And this kind of stuff we have not discussed so far. That's why this is the last question, and it says here, what is volatile? And we have not talked about volatile. I have only talked about it very, very short. And what is CV? And this one is just so that we understand this site here a little bit better. It's a shortcut for something. Perhaps you know it, and perhaps not. No worry if you don't know it. I write now here the answer. Volatile, you have not to know it because we have not talked about it, but I said, let's answer this one here first, then you will see what it is. What is CV? CV is a shortcut, and it stands for const and volatile. So, and that is the place where you should saw it perhaps. And what is const? Oops, Control Z. What is const volatile again? It is a type specifier, right? We learned this one, and most time we use const. Const you should definitely know. Volatile, very, very rar, which means they use it not often, and the reason for that is it is more an indicator, or let's say a specifier for the compiler. This one here is more for the programmer, because he should know if a value is const or not, or a pointer is const or not, or something like that. But this volatile is talking to the compiler, and that's why we see it not so often. And volatile means just I explained this very short. It's not the accurate explanation, but volatile means compiler, listen, this code which has a volatile specifier should be not optimized. In short, this is the short version. It's much more complicated, and that's why we don't dive into this kind of stuff. But if you see volatile, it means all the time, compiler, please don't modify this code. And when I say modify the compiler, let me show you something. The compiler will, for example, change your coding here behind the scene to a more effective output, or let's say in code. So it, for example, when you make a while loop, it will change the loop so that it behaves like a while loop, but it looks totally different, or something like that, because the optimization steps take place. But when you use this, for example, if you use then this word volatile specifier, you say this compiler, don't use optimization on this specific code. All right, and let me see if I can show you this one. Here is our volatile. I click on it, and you can see we have here, okay, we have not talked about this one here. Let me show what this is. This is so member. When we learn classes and structs, then we will see this a little bit more. But we perhaps use this one here, volatile type qualifier. Here you see CV. About this side we talked, constant volatile. I said const is important, volatile, yes, very, very, yeah, not so, you see it not often because it's compiler. It's a, yes, it's a specifier for the, or qualifier it's called, not specifier. Anyway, it's in the declaration specifier sequence normally, and it's important for the compiler. And here you can read a little bit this kind of explanation, and there it is, a little bit more better described than what I did. But here it says something with optimization or something like that. Of course, there are more, not just optimization, much more things. But yeah, as a starter, I would say if you know that it is for compiler optimization, it should not optimize. That's good for start. Later, when you get better and better, you will understand all the other kinds of stuff too. So I think with that, this is a short video because all the other things we have already discussed, like this one. And yeah, with that said, is our repetition of the keywords official finished. And I hope you did so far very, very good. If not, don't worry, we are starters, and we talked already about topics which was not so easy, but we get better. But our main goal was in this repetition that we repeat all the keywords, we extend our knowledge, and very important, that we can read slowly but steady, understand this documentation. What I mean with that, when you click, for example, to this if here, just let me click it, then you go here to the statement, and when you see something like a syntax here, that you start to understand to use this syntax, right? So that's the goal, because later in the official C++ documentation, you can see how it is described. You see the syntax, you can copy the syntax and then convert it to your real code. Read all the explanations. Important later, after you know the basics, is that you know also the exceptions. This is more intermediate, that you go from basic to to try to figure out what are the exceptions, which is not the normal way it should be used or something like that. But we are happy when we can just use the definitions, the standard syntax. What I mean standard syntax is we know all the syntax here. We understand most words, and we understand examples. It's very, very nice. But of course, we are still missing keywords, and that's the problem, because like I said, this site here, the CPP reference.com, or the official documentation, they use all keywords, which means you can see they make all time examples with base, which means with classes or with structs or with templates or with cars, which we have not so far discussed, and we will that in the next videos, because like I said, that was our last repetition of the keywords. Now we learn all the remaining keywords and go on with the flow, which means also I make now again shorter videos, so not so long again. I try so around 20 minutes max. All right, with that said, I think I stop here the repetition, and I hope that you did very well so far, that you trained and that you get better, because that was one reason why we did this repetition. And yeah, and I think with that said, if you have any questions or any complaints or any tips and tricks, write them all time in the comments, and see you in the next video with our normal videos where we learn new keywords like all time. And good luck, don't give up, bye, and have fun, of course.